Since 2017, the Italian Wine Podcast has exploded and expects to hit 6 million listens by the end of July 2023. We're celebrating this success by recognizing those who have shared the journey with us and giving them the opportunity to contribute to the ongoing success of the shows. By buying a paper copy of the Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0 or making a donation to help the ongoing running costs, members of the international Italian wine community will be given the chance to nominate future guests and even enter a prize draw to have lunch with Stevie Kim and Professor Attilio Scienza. To find out more, visit us at italianwinepodcast.com. Chin chin! Welcome to another episode of On the Road Edition, hosted by Stevie Kim. Each week, she travels to incredible wine destinations, interviewing some of the Italian wine scene's most interesting personalities, talking about wines, the foods, as well as the incredible travel destinations.
Okay, we're now live. We're waiting for Laura Catena. Okay, so we're good. Oh, here she is. Hey.
Ciao.
Hey, Laura. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás?
Bene.
All right, so we have a surprise for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3. Ciao, Laura.
Ciao, amici. Ciao, come state?
Listen. Have you noticed something different? We're all wearing stuff
mascherata.
Yeah, we're all wearing like stuff on our head because in your honor, we can find beret.
You get it now? For me, it was so normal that you were wearing some hats that I thought, why not?
No, listen. So, what is the story with the beret?
Hey, do you want the true story?
Yeah, the true story. Yeah.
So, well, first of all, the beret is a gaucho hat. So in
Right.
Argentina, the cowboys wear a beret because it's from the Basque country. You know, we have Spanish, Italian, Native American. So the gaucho hat, this is the gaucho hat. You can buy it in Argentina in the gaucho stores. And I always used to dress like a gaucho when I was a little girl. So I've always worn it, not as much as I wear it now. But the main reason, Stevie, is that you don't have to go to the hairdresser. It's instant.
That's good. I like
preparation.
it.
See,
You're
look
so
at you
practical.
now.
You're so smart.
Yes.
I knew I liked you for some reason.
But think about it, Stevie. When you're traveling every day, you're going to a new country. I mean, how do you actually, dry your hair and make it look good? You put a hat.
Listen, so Laura, thank you so much for doing this. We're doing this mostly for our WSET students. And also, I used to see you at least once a year, at least.
Yeah.
Especially in New York. When was the last time you've taken a plane?
Actually, the last time was when I went to Argentina in February. It will be a year since I last took a plane.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me as well. It's crazy. We were always flying all the time, right, in the past.
Yes.
How our lives have changed. So listen, this is the following. I try to keep it kind of skinny. We'll do everything in half an hour. We have 2 wines today. You know which wines, right? I sent you the wines. We have the Consulta Malbec.
Okay.
And then we have the Catena Malbec.
Oh, perfect.
The high mountain vines. Do you want me to ping you
I think you did, but I know those wines very, very well. So I have done so many Zoom takes.
Are you sure?
The Catena Malbec and the Consulta Malbec. I mean, this is
Are you sure?
The bread and butter. The Catena Malbec. If listen, Stevie, if I don't make Catena Malbec, I don't send my kids to college.
Yeah, it's good. Good job. So listen, what we're going to do is, first of all, I mean, this has been a really, really difficult year. As we are, I mean, reading your bio is like, the Marquez, the 100 Years of Solitude, right? There was Nicola. By the way, Nicola is Italian. He's Marchigiano, your grandfather.
See. And I also have Genovese from my mother's side.
Oh my God, the worst of two kinds, like the Marchigiano, Genovese.
I think so.
And then it was your dad. Also Nicola's.
So actually, it's my great-grandfather's Nicola. He's the Marchigiano.
Right.
He was married to another Italian woman, Anna Moschetta. And then there was my grandfather. His name was Domingo Vicente. In Argentina, they didn't allow people to keep their Italian names. So they had to Spanishize them. So he was Domingo Vicente, but he would have been Domenico Vincenzo because those were, the whatever the Italian rules are for naming. Everybody in my family used to follow
Is
them.
Adriana Catena someone you're related to?
Yes, she's my sister.
Oh, hi, ciao, Adriana. She's laughing.
She's there. I didn't see her.
Yes, she thinks it's funny. Okay, that's good. So far, so good that we're entertaining your sister. Then
And then it's my father, who is Nicolás Catena, and he sometimes uses the Zapata, which is his mother's side, which is the Spanish side, because we are Italian and Spanish, but really we are Argentinian. And then there's me and my two siblings. One of them is Adriana, who just waved, and our most famous vineyard is named after her. And honestly, people always ask, why is there a vineyard named after your sister and not you? And she was there when my father was planting this vineyard. And honestly, when it was planted, it's at 1,500 meters elevation. It's just the most glorious place. My father didn't know it was going to be so great.
Right.
And so I think it just happens to be that way. And if you meet my sister, she's quite beautiful and amazing. So I told my sister, I said, if you're going to go and water my Instagrams, go on this one, because this one will be fun.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Good job, Laura. I will make you my PR soon if you don't have a job. Actually, one question I did have as a student, because, I'd started my diploma program. It's just because I had nothing else to do.
Yeah. Well, no, but you know what, Stevie, you are the right person because you know how to make things fun. And I think the major problem with wine, why more people don't, get interested in wine, is because so many people teaching wine are so boring. And if you can infuse the wine world with you,
well, I'm definitely an alcoholic, so I will make it successful. That's for sure. Okay. So having said that, I have a WSET diploma question.
Yes.
Okay. How come there's no phylloxera in Argentina?
So actually, there is a little bit of phylloxera in Argentina, and it has been described over 100 years. So 100 years ago, they identified the first phylloxera. However, it doesn't propagate. Well, actually, we did some research because I had this theory that maybe the strains of phylloxera we had were less aggressive. Actually, we have some very bad phylloxera in Argentina, but it doesn't propagate. And some of it is related to the soil composition, and some of it is related to the very dry air. The flying phylloxera doesn't like the dry air.
Jacopo is suggesting altitude because also of the altitude.
It might also be the sunlight intensity, because the thing about altitude is it's cooler. But cool shouldn't be an issue because in Burgundy it's quite cool, and Champagne they got phylloxera too. So I think could be the sunlight is so strong that the little insects don't like it. But the bottom line is that phylloxera just stays in one place and it doesn't spread. So we have phylloxera, but it's not a problem. Nematodes are a bigger problem.
All right. Okay. Listen, does anybody have a question for? Yeah, hold on. Can you pass it on to Jacopo?
I have again a question about terroir. Actually, climate changes now are a big issue in all the world for wine. But since 2 years, Mendoza is a big critical area, especially for water management. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do you face this situation in your vineyards?
Yeah, so Jacopo, this is such an important question for every producer in the world. We have an issue with water because we have the glacier water. So our vineyards drink mineral water, but these glaciers are smaller now than they were 20 years ago. What we have done with water is we're studying every possible way to save water, to capture water, and also drip irrigation is very important. So in Argentina, when I was a child, or even 20 years ago, most of the vineyards were flood irrigated. And now most vineyards are drip irrigated. It's not only better for quality, but it's also better for the environment because we save water. And actually, I like when Europeans ask me the question about irrigation, I like to answer it because generally in Europe, it's considered, if you irrigate your vineyard, you're just some producer trying to get a ton of grapes and cheap wine.
The issue is the lack of water, actually.
No, but actually in Argentina, we need water and we irrigate. It's like an art. So it takes about 10 years to learn how to irrigate, and you don't irrigate Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You look at the vine and you give a little water when the vine needs it for the vine balance. So it's actually it's part of the art of wine growing and making is understanding the vine well enough and each terroir. So in every place, And even in parcels within a vineyard, you need to understand the water needs. But I agree with you that the key issue really is about climate. But if there is no water in Mendoza, we have no vines. But the other question about temperature. So we actually did what the rest of the world is going to have to do, but 25 years ago, when my father decided to plant in the cooler climate areas where nobody had planted, like the Adriana vineyard I was telling you about, there were no vineyards there in Gualtallarí. And he traveled around France, and actually what he realized was that he needed cooler climate to make, more age-worthy complex wine with better aromatics and natural acidity. In the old days in Argentina, most wines were acidified. And my father wanted to make wines that were just coming out of the vineyard to be made into wine, that you didn't need to add anything. So he discovered this whole region, not the whole region. There were some vineyards in the Uco Valley, but not many. And so that is now the main, quality production region, the Uco Valley. But it was a tiny region, 25 years ago. So in Argentina, we made a move to cooler climate through altitude. And I think this is something that's going to have to happen in the rest of the world, where people will either have to move to cooler areas or plant different varieties in current areas, which, Bordeaux announced, I think 2 weeks ago, that they're allowing new varieties like Marcelane. They're actually
Marcelane?
They're allowing Marcelane, and then they're also allowing Touriga Nacional also. Look, Google it.
Tinta.
Bordeaux just allowed, and you can have, I think, up to, maybe one of the students can look it up. But basically, I don't think they allowed Albarino. No.
No, this is what Tinta, the person's name is Tinta y Fina, and she wrote Albarino.
No, I don't think they're allowing Albarino in Bordeaux. So now the Bordeaux blend can have up to, I think it's 10% from these other grapes that they think are better adapted to a warmer climate.
Actually, we're working on WSET diploma book. I think it was still written 10 years ago, so I'm sure we don't have this. It won't be in the exam. That's all I care about. Listen, we don't have that much more time.
Yes.
We have 15 more minutes. We have 2 little wines.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so what are we drinking first?
Okay, let's have first the Catena Malbec. Okay. And which is the vintage?
2018, and the Consulta is 2017.
That's actually very fun because it's just a very classic year for Mendoza. It wasn't too cold, it wasn't too warm, there was enough water, there was snow in the Andes, no frost. It was just one of those years that growers like because they produce good quality, but in decent quantities. So it wasn't a small vintage. And 17 is a much smaller vintage. But again, La Consulta comes from one place, and the Catena Malbec is a high altitude blend. So this is a very good tasting to do together. In fact, I would recommend that everybody be tasting both together so they can compare a little bit.
Right. Can you just point out like the main differences?
So to me, the Catena Malbec is what I call our Chanel number 5. Why? Because it's a blend.
Oh, wait, let me try.
Yeah, please try it.
Let me try.
I'm sure you smell better now. Well, so the Catena Malbec is a blend of 5 different locations. Let's say that in France, you wanted to go and blend from the Rhone and Burgundy and Bordeaux and Champagne. This would be bad.
I have to interrupt you because experimental Bordeaux grapes are Arenal, my Spanish is so great, Castets, Marcelane, and Touriga Nacional for reds, Albarino, and Lilorilla for whites.
Oh, so our guest was correct, and I said no. I am so sorry.
But, okay, I'm sorry. So let's go back to 1 nanosecond to the difference between 2 wines.
Yeah, but actually, very sorry to that person that said Albarino, and I was wrong. Thank you for participating. Okay, so the Catena is a blend of different altitudes. And now, if in France you wanted to mix all these different climates, it would be crazy. You'd be driving the grapes 7 hours, right? But in Argentina, because of the altitude, in 45 minutes, you can go from a place as warm as the Southern Rhone to a place as cold as Champagne. And Malbec does well in all those places, but with different flavors. So all these vineyards, for both these wines you're drinking, but let's talk about Catena first, are planted with the Catena Masal selection. So we have a selection of 135 cuttings that come from
how long did that take?
Vineyard. It's a 100-year-old vineyard. It was about, 70-something years old when we made the selection. And then we preserved that selection in all our vineyards. So you're talking about the same Masal selection planted at different altitudes. And so it's like the same person and it's different expressions. And then you put all that together. So you get the ripeness from the warmer climate, and then you get the concentration and the really beautiful acidity from the cooler climate. And so what I call this is an altitude blend. And really, Argentina is the only country where you can do this because you have these different altitudes so close to each other.
Are you enjoying this podcast? Don't forget to visit our YouTube channel, Mama Jumbo Shrimp, for fascinating videos covering Stevie Kim and her travels across Italy and beyond, meeting winemakers, eating local foods, and taking in the scenery. Now, back to the show.
And so what I love about this wine is that it's a wine that's very completo. Completo, I don't know how you say that in Italian or in English.
Completo.
Completo. Oh, you say completo.
Yes.
Okay. Because it's got grazie. So because it's got everything, it's delicious, it's smooth. Malbec. So if you're in a blind tasting, remember Malbec should be very smooth. It should have floral aromatics, very bright floral and fruits, lots of color, very deep color. But it should be smooth. If you find some greenness or bitterness, it's not Malbec. And this is why Malbec was so prized in the Médoc, in the 18th and 19th century, because they had the Cabernet that was a little green because they were harvesting earlier and they needed the Malbec to soften it. So what's key about the Catena Malbec is that it's an altitude blend. And these are all ungrafted vines also, because most of the Malbec planted in Argentina is ungrafted, at least 90% of it. We usually plant Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, for example, with graft, with the American rootstock. Many people don't know this. Most masters of wine, master sommelier, WSET 4-5, I don't know what's the highest. They don't know this. So Malbec has very deep root system. It goes down to up to 2 meters. So it can withstand, problems with dry nematodes, the little phylloxera we have. So, okay, so this is...
Question?
Yeah.
Simone?
Ciao Laura.
Ciao, come stai?
Bene, tu?
Bene, benissimo.
I have a question.
Yes.
I want to know how was the current vintage?
The one that 2021 or 2020? Yeah.
21.
Okay, so 21, we did have a frost, so it will not be like 18. That was just like quite big. But so far, it's starting now. It's going really well. And we've actually, we've kind of escaped the frost and the hail. So usually the only bad thing that could happen is maybe it becomes very rainy at some point. We did have some bad rain about a week ago, but it was early enough that's not a problem. In fact, we like a little rain, about a month before harvesting, because usually the vines are very stressed. And so far it's looking very, very good. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, so Shawan has a question for you too. Here, Shawan.
Yes.
Hi, Laura.
Hello.
So, follow up the climate change topic. I want to ask, what do you do differently in the winery to counterpart like the climate change? What do you do now different than before?
Yeah, well, I think that the main change we made was planting in cooler climates, but that was not for climate change. We were doing it to get better quality and better. Today, the main issue, I think it was Jacopo that was saying, that is water. That is the main issue in Mendoza. We have less warming in the southern hemisphere than in the northern hemisphere. So just by, good cover crops and, you can leave a few more leaves on the vine. Like there's things you can do if there's a little bit of warming. So far, warming is not a big issue. We've actually had some of the coldest years in the century recently. So, but water is a bigger issue. And, and to me, the other big issue is, the impact on people, because, the water scarcity also affects people, communities all over the world. And it affects disease pressure on the vines, on people. So, that's a much bigger conversation. But at the winery itself, we make wine with the grapes that come in. And I wouldn't say that the climate change is any big impact. We are doing a lot of work on sustainability in terms of, for example, being much more judicious about measuring, how much electricity we use, trying to, we are reducing a lot, the gasoline, the energy that we use. And in fact, there's a recent statistic that I looked up that, for example, in Argentina, the per capita carbon emissions are a fifth of what they are, let's say, in the USA, Australia, and Canada. And actually, in Italy, they're higher than in Argentina, but not as high as the United States. So I was having a really interesting discussion about this, which is that everybody's talking about climate change and reducing carbon emissions, yet there's some countries that just because of the lifestyle, in Argentina, many people don't have a car. Whereas, in other countries, families will have 2 or 3 cars. In Argentina, no family has more than 1 car, and people carpool. It's normal to carpool. People take their bike. So I think that's another issue for climate change. I think we all need to work on it, but some countries harder than others.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to.
Oh, okay. We have some questions from
Yes.
that I can't read it. So,
One is climate change creating road travels and
hail. The problems with the hail related to climate change.
Yeah, I think hail has been, when I was a kid, hail was the problem. I think hail is hail. I wouldn't say that we're seeing more hail. We are seeing, actually, in some places, worse frost, which sort of doesn't make any sense because it's cooler, but it might be related to less water. Usually humidity protects you from frost. So
that's not what I was expecting. Actually.
Yeah, me neither. But I would say, like, if I look at my memory, we've had some big issues with frost. I think it's very hard to talk about climate change, when you think of the last 5 years. It's more the last 50 years, So, since the human memory, usually I can't remember more than the last year, it's hard to, you actually need to sit down and quantify to have a good assessment.
Oh, yeah. The audience, they're asking if we can save this slide. They love you. It's never happened before. So, yes, we will save the slide for you guys. Yeah. Listen, we have...
love you, Stevie. Okay.
No, we have 4 more minutes. We need to talk about consulta.
Yes. Okay. So La Consulta is this district in the southern Uco Valley. And what's very particular about La Consulta, I'm going to show you. So look at this stone. So it's covered in limestone, see, calcium carbonate. So the soils were formed when the oceans covered the Andes, and then the Andes rose up. And so we have a lot of marine deposits, and we have all this calcium carbonate from the rivers drying. And this, I used to think that this was a French thing to always talk about limestone and calcium carbonate, but we do find that the places that have more calcium carbonate do give us like somewhat more elegant wines. So there must be a correlation. I don't know what it is, but we find that, with our experience. So in La Consulta, you have like that stone I showed you, but bigger because it's at the beginning of an alluvial cone. So these big stones make drainage very easy. And so you can't get high yields, which is a problem if you're trying to make a ton of cheap wine. But if you're trying to make quality wine, is very good because it keeps the vine a little bit of stressed and yields are always low. So La Consulta to me has a lot of power, but also almost sweet tannins. So it's a very rich wine with very smooth and slightly sweet tannins that come from this particular place. It's not sugar, it's polysaccharides. But what do you think? Do you feel that as well?
I don't. I've been just drinking it. I don't really feel it. What about you guys? Listen, there's a question from the audience. Can you define consulta salty because of the carbonate calcium? And also, I love the fact that your prop is a piece of rock. My prop is like potato chips and, like peanuts.
Well, I could eat some potato chips now. I'm never tired of potato chips. So somebody's asking about salty. So, in Mendoza, we do have some salt in the soils, like not so much that it's bad for the vines, but we do have a little bit of saltiness to the wines. It's actually been measured. I don't think it's from the carbonate calcium. I think it's from, regular sodium that, it infiltrates the soils and the water. But I do agree actually with the comment that La Consulta has a nice saltiness. But I don't think it's from the calcium carbonate. Yeah.
More savory.
He says more savory than salty.
Yeah. But also a little salty, but savory as well. Umami. Oh yeah. Oh, this is big. Umami.
Oh my God. Jackpot. Rebecca.
Yes. So Malbec has umami. We've measured it. It has natural
Don't you have any
vanillin.
umami material to show me?
Yes, coffee.
Yeah.
So Malbec has natural vanillin. Even if you make Malbec without oak, you smell vanillin. We actually discovered this, and
That's
to me,
interesting. I didn't know that. And it's not from the oak.
No. Well, if you add oak, you have more, but it has natural vanillin, and we actually even had this studied at UC Davis. Like, it's triple confirmed, and so I think Malbec, that is why it goes so well with steak and with mushrooms, and I think it goes really well with Asian food that has a lot of umami.
So listen, Lauda, you can do two things. I give you the last question. You can do one of two things. One, you can tell me kind of the three important things that you remember about 2020, last year, during pandemic, life lessons, if you will. Or you can do your famous karaoke, Despacito, like the one that we did during New Year's Eve karaoke, which I discovered. It was hilarious because no one can follow you. It was completely in Spanish.
Well, first of all, you make an easy choice because I can only do Despacito if you hear the song in the background. Otherwise, it sounds terrible. But I will tell you but let's do karaoke again because I had so much fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay.
So I think the main thing is I got a dog before COVID. You know, I think going for walks with or without a dog is something that I discovered. And I think that it's something that everybody should be doing, like remembering that. My husband has complained a lot about me over the last
You have a husband?
I have a husband.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We're 25 years this year. He's American, but he speaks Spanish very well and Italian. He loves Italy. And so my husband was always complaining that I travel too much. And I always used to think that he was just complaining.
How many husbands do you have?
Currently one.
Okay, that's good.
Yes. So, and he stopped complaining. And actually, it's been nice to be able to, you know, spend a little more time with him. And I don't know, I think that for many people, maybe I was neglecting him. I denied it before, but now that I'm seeing that it's nice to spend more time with him, and I'd like to continue to spend more time with him. And then also, I have picked up tennis and having quite a bit of fun with that. Yes.
Are you any good?
No, I'm terrible, but I love playing.
Okay, my knee's busted, but when it gets repaired, then we can hit some balls.
Let's play tennis. Absolutely.
All right, listen, Laura, I'm going to let you go. I like to kind of keep it, you know, I'm kind of a Nazi in terms of being a control freak. So let you go. Thank you so much. And one last time. Ciao, Laura.
Grazie.
Ciao, Laura.
Amici. Ciao, ci vediamo presto.
Ciao, ciao, Laura.
Ciao,
grazie.
ciao. Grazie a te.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.